recording?
You just can't see you because you're so dark.
Oh, okay, but you are recording.
Yes. Let's go over.
Hey everybody, we're back again doing fish again. And since we were doing fish, we decided there's no better time to do a video than right now. Whenever we do fish, I like to shoot my videos then because I'm sitting down, I'm standing still, you know, I have time to engage with the camera. We said we were going to start trying to do some live videos, and so we can get people to speak with us while we're out here, because with it being that, okay, we're just out here doing our normal thing on the farm, you know, we don't get to interact with people, and I would like to hear from people what they think, what they would like to see, what they're interested in. You know, I would like to give out the information of how to start a farm. But I said probably about 2 months ago that I would do a video about land and how to acquire land for a good price. Even though I've seen videos that there's better ways than the way that me and my wife chose to pursue 10 acres. There's actually, since then, I found out there's other ways that might be more cost effective, but at the same time, you know, I can only go with the way that we acquired our home for a good price and tell you that. And so there's plenty different secrets out there that people do not know about when it comes to getting land. See, what most people do is they get to a certain age and they say, man, I want to get a home. And they'll get a home the conventional way. What they'll do is they'll go to a nice developed city, and they'll get them a real estate agent. It'll be in a developed area, so the land will be so high that it will a lot of people will miss out on their opportunities to get a home, because in their wildest dreams they won't be able to afford it for that area, because the more developed the area is, the more commerce and more business is doing, the more expensive that property is going to be. But here's the thing: when you're dealing with small municipalities, small rural areas, or you know, urban areas as well. It applies to urban areas too. So when you're dealing with these type of areas, the city normally has what's called a OTC. For it says OTC because it's over the counter, meaning you can work directly with that municipality to lien on some properties. Now, if you don't know about liens, then before you can really fathom what I'm saying, then you have to take the time to study what a lien is, and how a lien, for someone who is financially stricken, how a lien can benefit you on getting the property. Although it won't be something that you'll get like right now, right today. It won't be like that. You're not going to walk away with that property that same day. But in the state of Alabama, it takes like 3 years for it to fully mature and you to get that land. And in that time, while you're waiting, you know, you could be looking for other properties that you want to lien on. But first thing you want to do, if you want to get property for a good price, this first thing you want to do is you want to get out and go travel the land yourself. Go ride around. Now, riding around in the city isn't going to help you, because you're not going to get land for cheap in the city. For instance, here's a good example, and I wish we were riding and I can take you there and show you. Down the street from where we purchased this property at, there's 20 acres for sale. And what you would do is, on something like that, you find something like that, normally you don't have to deal with any third party or any kind of middle situation. Meaning you don't need a real estate agent, and you don't need a lawyer. But what you do need, this is the thing that you need when you're dealing with this. I just said lawyer. You're going to need a lawyer. The reason you're going to need a lawyer, and you're going to need to do research. You're going to need to do your own research. So what would happen is, you see the land, you see it's for sale. You would engage with the owner of the land directly. You would engage with the owner of the land, and after you engage with them, you see that it's legit. You find out what they want for the property. Then you go up to the city, the county clerk, and you go up and you look for the records on that property with the county. You don't do it with the specific city that you're looking in. You go to the county, and so you'll ask them for the records on that property. So you know if there's any liens on that property. You'll know if the person who's supposedly selling you that property is the true owner of that property, and that's something important to know. Because see, what will happen is, damn it, fish. What will happen is, let's say somebody passes away in the family. You know, property owned to grandma, belonged to grandma, and grandma passed away, and the children have no invested, the grandchildren or whatever, they really didn't know grandma. They have no vested interest in the property. They'll come to you and be like, hey man, I got this 20-acre property, and I'll sell it to you. Well, there's a difference between title and deed. You know, they can give you the deed to the home, but it might not have a clear title. Meaning, if there was a title has to do with anybody being owed anything for that property to be cleared to be sold. So they can give you the deed, but you know, if it doesn't have clear title, then they can't legally transfer that deed over to your name. So if you don't take these steps, what will end up happening is you'll end up purchasing a piece of land. You'll end up paying for, not purchasing. You end up paying for a piece of property that cannot be yours. And this is where, you know, paying full price for property comes in handy, because you go through all the proper channels when you do that. You get your real estate agent, you get your lawyer, you get your escrows done, and when you do it that way, you know at the end of it all, you're gonna get clear title, and you're gonna get the title is gonna be cleared. You get the deed to the property, but whoever mortgaged the property for you, they're on the title. You still get the deed. The deed will be in your name, but the title will not be cleared for the 30 years or whatever type of mortgage that you set up with them. The title won't be cleared until that's done, and that's called free and clear title. So to do it that way, if you have the finances, is still the best way to do things. It's the most costly thing, but the way that I'm doing it is to tell you like how to get land on a discount. You know, when I say discount, I don't mean $10,000 cheaper. I mean, you know, $50,000 under appraised value, and that's what you want to shoot at. If you want to get enough land to have freedom, you're gonna need, like we have, at least 10 acres, because 10 acres is enough where you can make a living off of your land. But you don't want to pay, you know, 10-acre prices, because land is going for the high right now. So what I'm telling you is, so you can get 10 acres at 2-acre price, or you can get 20 acres at 5-acre price. You know what I'm saying? But you want to make sure when you're doing it, you want to make sure you do all your proper research, because a lot of people are getting scammed out there, because they're going the cheap route. and they're not doing their due diligence. They're not doing their research, and they're just going off what the people are telling them. So basically, to break it all down, to make it in the easiest form of understanding of how this has to work in order for you to get the deal, you can't deal with a bank. You have to deal with a human being, non-corporate human being, meaning that this person isn't a corporation. He's not a corporation. He's actually a real life human being that wants to sell goddamn fish. Excuse my language, but a real human being who wants to sell you grandma's old property because he's not gonna work on it. He's not gonna maintain it. He had no kind of interaction with grandma's life like that for that property. Now, when you do it that way, so they'll normally come with a price. They'll normally come with a price and be like, hey, okay, you interested? Then I'll tell you what. Then make me an offer. You know, and on that offer, this is after, you know, you make the initial contact with the person. After you make the initial contact with the person, you try not to talk about money on the initial contact. You just say, hey, you make contact with them. You see if they're selling it, whatever. You get their information, and then you go back, and then you go start doing your research with the city, with the county. Okay. Once you do the research with the county, you find out about the title. You might have to pay $15 to get the information released to you, depending on where you live at in your municipality. They might charge you a fee just to print the records out. But once you have all that stuff in order, once all that stuff is in order,
Are those?
don't mess with that's baby fish and its guts. Jeez, don't come over here messing with my fish.
I'm not messing with the fish.
My wife wants to fucking, excuse my language, man. I gotta work on that. My wife wants to come over here and touch my fish. My goodness, what kind of savage are you?
It looks nasty.
Did you wash your hands? I know it looks nasty, but you know what looks even nastier is you coming out here with you know, you haven't washed your hands. You don't have on any gloves.
I wasn't about to touch
And you
it.
want to touch my fish. Like, I'm a stickler about cleanliness, especially when it comes to my food and my fish.
You just dropped the fish twice in the dirt.
What did I do? I turned around and rinsed it off. Okay. I'm a stickler about cleanliness with my food. I've always been that way since I was a child. I know I'm getting off subject talking about my food, but my wife tried to touch my fish. She didn't wash her hands.
I ain't try to touch the fish. I wouldn't want to touch.
She wanted to try to touch, like, you know how you, like when you're a kid and you're playing around.
I just seen something.
Okay.
I pointed it out.
Let me get back on track here, because somebody out there might want to know how to get a piece of property for the law. And there's other videos out there. What I would recommend too is if you watch this and you say, okay, we're gonna name this how to get property for a fairly reasonable price. After you watch this video and take some of my advice, then turn around and watch 20 other videos about how to get property for a good price. Main ones that I would watch are tax liens and tax deeds, foreclosures, which, you know, foreclosures, I feel like when you're dealing with foreclosures, the amount of savings that you get from the home isn't fair. They don't give you enough of a savings for a foreclosure. You know, I can see if a foreclosure, you're getting the house at half of its value, then yeah, it'll be worth it. But you don't. You're still paying 80% of the value of the house, and that's pure BS. I mean, you know, everybody deserves to have a home. And, you know, there's so much land out here that nobody wants. When I'm telling you there's so much land out here that nobody wants, this is why I would make a video to tell you, hey, there's land out here for as cheap as $1. You can buy property out here for as cheap as $1. It's land nobody wants. The city is not gonna develop it. It's in a community that the city does not want to put any finances behind to build the city. They have no faith in that area, in that community, and they just want to get property taxes off of it. That's it. They want you to come get the property so that they can generate revenue for the city. And there's a lot of land out there like that, and that's why I tell people, like, people stressing over finding homes in the world, but and even in some municipalities out right now, this is what I'm telling you: do your research. If you're not afraid to move, if you're nomadic and you're not afraid to travel and move to different places, there's places in America right now, when you do your research about this stuff, where you can get land for absolutely free. All you have to do is build on the land, but the land is free. So when I tell you this stuff, and you watch other people on YouTube and they say, "Oh, there's a thing out to get land for cheap," don't be such a freaking skeptic. Skepticism is what's stopping people from taking advantage of this stuff. They got homes out there in like Dakota where they'll give the land to you for free as long as you do a contract with the municipality that you will build on the land, that you will build a residential property on the land, and that you'll be a resident of that area, a citizen of that area, or a resident for that area, whichever terminology you like to use, for 10 years. And the land is absolutely free, as much of it as you want to, or as much as the municipality has to give you. There's other places like in Detroit right now that Detroit, they're not giving the land away for free, but they are giving the land away for $1. You pay $1 and the land is yours. So don't be a skeptic out there. But I want to the way that I'm mainly focusing on is the way where you're gonna have to shell out about $10,000 cash. You're gonna need about to get in. You're gonna need about $10,000 cash money. Okay. In saying that, you gotta realize, like, $10,000 cash compared to $250,000 over the lifespan of 30 years. So the way that I'm saying, no, you're gonna have to spend some money. The way that I'm saying, but
Babe,
huh,
can I pause it for a second so I can go blow my nose?
sure, we'll be back.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm saying is, the way that I'm saying is, no, you're not gonna get some free land, but you'll end up paying like a fifth of what the land costs. So if a property is like $200,000, normally you can walk away with that property for about $125,000. You can walk away with a $250,000 property. Now we're at a $250,000 property, and we walked away with this property for about half. I can't. My wife keeps shaking her head and saying, "No, don't give out full prices." But we're at about a $250,000 property, and we paid just around half of that. And that's why I'm saying, like, by listening to this, I'm trying to tell you how to do the same thing. See a property that's valued $250,000 and not even pay $150 for it. But you gotta understand, at the same time, it took us a year of negotiating, and not a year, close to a year, about 8 months of negotiating, and we had to accumulate some wealth to be able to make it happen. And when you're doing it the way that I'm prescribing to do it, you it's not like when you buy a home conventionally. You get a home, even though you have a 30-year mortgage and all that. You don't. What happens is you don't need any money. You don't need any money to get that home. The way that we did it, and the way that I would recommend that anybody else does it as well. Although be it the way that we did it, you are going to need some money. In the long run, you'll save a lot of money, and you'll have more invested into it, walking right into the purchase of the home. You have more of an investment into it, which neither way is wrong. Doing it the way where you do it with the municipality instead of with a realtor and all that. And even when you do it with a municipality, if you're smart, you will still hire a realtor to handle all the business and to take care of all the legal jargon, and also to put you in touch with a good legal team that can make sure that when everything is done and the keys are passed over to you, that the property can't be taken away from you because it wasn't correctly done legally. So even though we found a steal and all that, we still hired a real estate agent to take care of the business because we don't know all the legal sides with it. We just knew how to obtain the land for a low price. And so you got to understand, a lot of people will be upset with you because you have the knowledge to know to work directly with the county and to do the research yourself and to actually get out yourself and go speak with persons who have land up for sale. And I'll break this down to you easily and simple. So if you've been watching this and you're confused at what I'm saying on how to do it, step number 1, make contact with the owner. The owner, meaning do not make contact with a real estate company. If it says for sale by a real estate agent, a real estate firm. So basically, if it says for sale by Coldwell Banker, stay as far away from it as humanly possible. You're gonna get ripped a new butthole when you go to buy that property. Only go to the properties that say for sale by owner, lease to own. You want a lease to own or for sale by owner. Even some rental property that says for rent, you can go and talk to them and you can work out a good deal with them where you go to a lawyer, you get the lawyer to draw a contract where it could be a rental with after the first year with the option to buy. And how that works out is the lawyer, and the one thing you got to be careful about with that is just working out the interest rate with the on your documents. That's why you have to get a lawyer. Now, you getting a lawyer yourself, no more than $1,000. You take $1,000. Matter of fact, take $500 to the lawyer up front to talk to him, and then take them another $500 when the job is done. $1,000, you're covered. It doesn't seem like a whole lot, especially when you're trying to do something on a lifetime scale, So the step 1 would be make contact. Step 2 would be going to the county office and pulling up the records for that property. Step 3 would be making an offer. Step 4 would be hiring an agent to take care of the paperwork. Step 5 would be somewhere in there you would make an offer, and then you would let them know how much you have to put down on that offer. Now, what you want to do is here's the most important part right here. Here's the part that if you don't make sure to cover this part, it will come back to bite you in the butt later on. You want to make sure when you make an agreement that the first thing you talk to them about after you agree on the price is interest. You want to get zero interest. That's why you're not going to a bank and you're going to a human being. When you say come to an agreement and make sure you have $10,000 at least, that's called good faith money. So this guy says, "Oh, I want to sell you my property." Whoop de whoop de whoop. Whoop de whoop de whoop. You come to a price, you say, "I have $10,000. We'll put the deed to the house in trust." In trust, meaning either that the deed goes to a third party until it's paid off. The deed goes to the deed comes to you, but the title is not cleared, or some kind of way like that. You want to work it out with the deed. So that's what the $10,000 is. And so then you would, if they say, okay, well, I want the money in full, or if they say they want the money in full, that's fine. Then you would take the $10,000 to a financial institute to initiate a loan, or what you could do is they can come up with a payment plan with you, and you would need a lawyer to make that payment plan happen, to make sure that they stick with the original agreement, which will give you rights to the land. But it may end up that they end up keeping the deal. Either way is a good way to do business. But I would say definitely put the deed in trust once you fork over money. But you are gonna need a legal team. I would say recommend it when you're doing it this way, because I do not I have no trust in mankind. I have no trust that mankind is gonna do what's right unless they're forced to do what's right. So you always want to pay your lawyer when you're doing this cheap route for the home. And even after you pay a lawyer, you pay a real estate agent, and you fork over $10,000 up front. You're still gonna come out at least $50,000 cheaper than if you would have bought a home the conventional way. So you gotta think about that. It's not gonna be free. Now there's a guy out there who did a video about how to get land for free, and besides the methods that I know how to get land for free, but you have to the way that I know how to get land for free, you have to move to like places that nobody wants to live, at the ends of the earth. But he did one where you could get land for free in the city, and hey, it's just like how the Pilgrims did when they came over here. The world is still the same. So if you think about it and you say, oh, what was his name? Joe Smith and Pocahontas and all that. John Smith and all that. They came over here. They started taking land, claiming land. It's 2017. You can still do the same exact thing in 2017. I know it sounds crazy for somebody who hasn't heard that you can still start claiming land. And I actually know, we're in Alabama. I actually know where there's land that's not being used. It's secluded, and if you wanted to grow on it, nobody would stop you. I know where land that like that is out here, and there's so much of it like that I don't think anybody would bother you if you use the land. And so that's one tactic. If you don't want ownership of the land, but you just need access to some land to grow your produce, then you can find your spot that's abandoned and that nobody has interest in, and you could just plan on it. And what's the worst thing that can happen? Somebody can come through and say, "Hey, that's not yours. You can't plant here." And then you can say, "Sue me." What's the worst that can happen? Now you might end up losing some of your crops if it goes bad, but if it goes good, nobody because there's haters in the world. just seize you some, if you seize you some property, you strong arm take you some property and start growing on it, somebody gonna get to hating, and they gonna inform the police on you, and then that's how it's gonna get shut down. It's not gonna get shut down because you're doing anything wrong. And with that method, what's the worst that can happen? They can tell you to stop growing on it. You know, you can still come back and water your crops when nobody around, and still harvest your crops, and then the next year just don't use that land anymore. But that's one way that this guy I watched on YouTube. That's one way he was doing it. The one problem he ran into with that was he was doing it in the and I'm gonna say in the hood. He had seized him some property in the hood, and it was where all the drug dealers and prostitutes hung out at. He seized it. Strong, I keep saying the word seize because it's the best way that I could describe what he did. By seized, I don't mean like what you would think about, you know, a police seizure where they come through and they take your stuff and, you know, and all that. The type of seizure I'm talking about is he just started using it. He started using it with no permission. There was nothing being done there. He just started using it with no permission, had no title to it, had no claims to it, and just got to it. The problem he ran into was not that people put the police on him. The problem he ran into is that they stole all his food. They stole every ounce of everything he had grew out there and everything he had been working towards. They didn't even leave him nothing to make any kind of profit with. So he put in all that work. They end up stealing it. But I would say if you want a good example of how to get land for completely free, there's this white guy who lives in Canada, and he's riding in a Ferrari or a Maserati or something, and he deals with the free land. That's what his specialty is. He deals with seizing the land, working the land, and then moving on. And he makes about $100,000 tax free a year from doing that, from seizing the land, working the land, and moving on. Makes about $100,000 a year. He's really successful. My thing is, you know, with doing it that way, you always have to be moving around. You always have to be this year planning in this place, next year planning in that place. You never get any stability. You never get your own home. You know, you can't live when you're seizing the land. You, even though it's free and it's all profit, everything you make is all profit. You don't have to get any licenses. You don't have to, you know, get any documents to make your land an official farm. You don't have to deal with any of the bureaucracy when you're just seizing land. Even though that may be the case, what's also the case is you're not welcome to, you can't lay your head there. You can't live there. And like I said, you know, I've watched people who've done it that way. They've lost their whole crop. And I've also watched people who've done it that way and they've been shut down by haters. People who were jealous and envious that they were just so bold and brazen enough just to take some land. And I watch people do it with homes, you know, do the route that's called vagrancy. I don't know if it's vagrancy, but it's abandoned property. If somebody abandons their property for 90 days, you could just move into the property. But the problem with that is you have people who get mad at you for doing it because, you know, they're paying $200,000 and $300,000 for their home.
Oh, you're talking about that thing that we seen?
Yeah, what the
yeah, where the
ladies just took the land.
Yeah, where they went to the
God,
city
dog.
and they paid like what, $10?
Yep.
Or something like that, and they were able to move into it.
Yep. And
Yeah.
just took it. But man, it fails every time once people find out what's going on. Because then they start making a big issue about it. And then guess what? The sheriff department got to come do something. You know? Because if nobody knows how you acquired the property, then it's all good. But as soon as the word gets out and the people who live in the community find out that, hey, this person paid absolutely nothing for this fucking, excuse my language, but this person paid absolutely nothing for this $200,000 and $300,000 property. You know they gonna be on you. They gonna be calling the police every day, and next thing you know, they gotta come do something about it because it becomes a communal issue. And so that's why I wouldn't like go into details on how to do it. I went into the way that I know works because it worked for us, and now we're living on 10 acres, and we got it for a absolute. And I said this on another video when I let it be known that we got this property for a steal. We got this property for little of nothing, for pennies on. We got this property for pennies on the dollar, all because we took our time. We did research. We studied other people's methods of how to get property for cheap. It took us about 8 months to really. I wouldn't say even master. Even though we went through the full process, I wouldn't say I'm a master of the process. But I know one way to get property for cheap works. It's legal. You don't have to worry about, oh, is the sheriff gonna be coming today to tell us we got to get out of here because the way we acquired the property is not correct in the eyes of our neighbors or whatever. We don't have to worry about that because we hired a realtor to make sure our documents were in order. And that's something else. When you get property for cheap, you gotta have your documents in order. So if they come to you with any of that foulery about your property, about how you acquired the property, then you'll have your paperwork in order to fight that stuff because you got somebody who's trained to make the wording of the documents right. Being me, I couldn't have done it. I wouldn't have known what I was doing. So, we hired somebody to make sure that we were tight and that if anybody we didn't want to know that wanted to do us harm found out that we got our property for cheap, and they wanted to take any kind of hateful towards us or something like that, we have our documents in a row where they couldn't do that to us. And plus, the person who sold us the home, we have a decent relationship with the person who sold us the home, and so we have their blessing on the home. Plus, they had a clear title. They had clear title. So if anybody gets mad, hey, we just got a good deal. Because it comes down to you and your skills to negotiate. Really, it comes down to you, your skills to negotiate, and your ability to find a steal in the first place. To find the steal, because it's not anything that's like magic or nothing like that. That's not how. It's not magic. It has to deal with, I would say, more romance than magic. I mean, that's what business is. Business is romance, because business happens through your ability to speak and verbalize your wants and needs and work things out where everybody is happy with the accommodation. So that's what business is. And once you learn how to work that, you can get anything in this world you want. But I do feel sorry for the person who's out there who's like, oh, I can't afford a house. Because whatever your budget is, there's a house out there for you. And I gotta tell you, man, the real estate company that we were renting from, they tried to sell me that house. I had been living there for a good long while, 3 years to be exact. And since I had been living there for 3 years, they tried to sell me the house there for what the house would have cost if I had been paying on the mortgage for 3 years. So I'll go ahead and put that information out there. If you watch my older video of what the older house looked like, they wanted to sell me that house for a steal. They were going to sell me that house for $55,000. They were going to take into account a little over 3 years of just paying rent. Actually, if I would have bought the house, the mortgage would have been about $100 cheaper than what I was paying rent. So instead of paying, did we say the price that we were paying rent? Or would that be, yeah?
We're not living there no more.
Yeah. So we were paying $575 a month in rent, and if we would have bought the place, it would have dropped it down to about $500 even a month. But you know, we knew that we couldn't live there. There was nothing we could do to enhance our future or provide a future for our future generations there. There's no room for growth. There was no room for growth there. So we decided that it was best that we went on an adventure. Now, we spent countless times riding through back abandoned lands, and where we live at right now is a abandoned land. There's nobody who lives in this city really. This city is pretty much abandoned, correct, baby? And it's an abandoned city, and that's where you're gonna get this land for a good price at. Like I said, you're not gonna get land for a good price in big city. It's not gonna happen. There's not gonna be any land that's directly dealing with the landowner in the big municipalities. It's just gonna be land that's owned already. It's been owned and been passed down.
42 minutes.
Okay, guys, I think we spoke enough. It's probably the longest video we've ever done. Gotta get out of here. For now, our Facebook page is Black Farmer 6. It's gonna be changing soon to the name of our farm, which is Top Farm. Soon, I don't know how soon, but the name of our Facebook page is already, our YouTube page is already changed to Top Farms. So if you know anybody who would be interested in our channel, share some of our videos with some people you feel like will be interested in the information that we provide. And go check us out on Facebook. We put our pictures on Facebook. And so there you go. If you enjoyed the video, if this is going to get you on your way to getting your property at half value, because if you're not getting it at 75% of value or less, then you're getting robbed. So if a house is worth $200,000 and you can't get that house for $150,000, you're getting robbed, because already you don't have no equity in the house. The house is upside down the minute you get into it. But with that being said, like and subscribe, share. If you know somebody who would enjoy this content, share it with them. And guys, we'll see you on the next video. We'll have some merchandise out before long for people who can't actually physically come and purchase our produce. We'll have merchandise probably at the end of the year, and so be looking out for that. And we'll see you guys on the next video. To the Batmobile, and going absolutely nowhere.